Last weekend you did something you used to love, and halfway through, you caught yourself wondering when it would be over. Not because anything was wrong, not because something better was waiting, just a flat, grey desire for the thing to be done so you could stop pretending to feel something you were not feeling. You smiled when you were supposed to smile. You said it was great when someone asked, but driving home, there was a silence in your chest where something used to live, and you could not remember the last time that silence was not there. You are not sad, exactly. Sad would be something. This is the absence of something, and absences do not have names, so you cannot tell anyone what you have lost. Remember what it felt like to want something so badly that waiting was physically painful. The night before a trip, the hours before seeing someone you loved, the countdown to something that pulled at your whole body with anticipation. When did that stop? When did the future become something you move through rather than something you move toward? Now you book the vacation and feel nothing. You make the plans and feel nothing. The thing arrives and you experience it at a distance, like watching yourself through glass. Somewhere between who you were and who you have become, the wire that connected you to your own life was cut, and nobody mentioned it was missing until you noticed you could not feel your hands anymore. There is a performance you give every day that exhausts you more than any job ever could. The performance of being okay. The performance of having interests. The performance of being someone who is alive in the way that alive people are supposed to be alive. You laugh at things that are not funny because silence would invite questions. You say yes to things you do not want because explaining the emptiness would take more energy than just showing up. And late at night, when the performance is over and you are finally alone, you do not feel relief. You feel the weight of how long you have been pretending. And beneath that weight, a terror you never look at directly. What if this is not a phase? What if the person who could feel things is gone, and this hollow actor is all that is left? Jung understood something about the psyche that modern explanations consistently miss. The flatness you are living inside is not a chemical imbalance, though chemistry may be part of it. It is not depression in the way that word is usually used, though it shares depression's texture. What you are experiencing is the result of amputation. Pieces of yourself that were cut away so gradually, you did not notice the cutting until the limbs were gone. And those pieces did not die when they were removed. They are still alive somewhere, still carrying the capacity for joy and wonder and immersion that you remember having. But they have been exiled so completely that you no longer know where you put them. You only know they are not here. And without them, you are trying to live a full life with half a self. The surgery happened in stages, and each stage had a reasonable explanation. Playfulness was childish, so you learned to be serious. Spontaneity was risky, so you learned to be careful. Wonder was naive, so you learned to be knowing. Losing yourself in something impractical was irresponsible, so you learned to be always a little bit outside everything, watching, measuring, making sure you were not wasting time. Each cut made sense at the time. Each cut was an adaptation to a world that does not reward aliveness. It rewards productivity. And now you are productive. You are responsible. You are serious and careful and knowing and always a little bit outside everything. And the life you optimized for is exactly as grey as optimization makes things. The parts you cut away did not go quietly. For years they sent signals, restlessness, irritability, a persistent sense that something was missing. You interpreted these signals as problems to be solved. You tried new hobbies, you changed jobs, you moved cities, you ended relationships and started new ones. Each change brought a brief spark, A moment where the greyness lifted and you thought you had found the answer. But the spark always faded because the problem was never external. The missing piece was not out there somewhere waiting to be found. It was inside you, locked in a room you had forgotten existed, pounding on a door you could no longer hear. Jung called this inner world the unconscious, but the name makes it sound more mysterious than it is. The unconscious is simply everything you are that you do not let yourself know you are. The desires you learned were unacceptable. The emotions you learned were dangerous. The parts of your personality that did not fit the mold of who you were supposed to become. These parts do not disappear when you disown them. They sink below the surface and continue to live, continue to grow, continue to demand expression. And when expression is denied long enough, they stop demanding. They go quiet. And their quietness is the greyness you are experiencing. The absence is not empty. It is full of everything you have refused to be. This is why nothing external fixes it. You cannot medicate your way back to aliveness, though medication might create enough stability to do the real work. You cannot vacation your way back, because you bring the same partial self to every destination. You cannot achieve your way back, because achievement was part of what created the problem. The belief that you had to become something other than what you naturally were in order to be acceptable. The only path back is the path inward, toward the exiled parts, toward the room you locked and forgot about, toward the pieces of yourself that still know how to feel, still know how to play, still know how to be fully inside an experience rather than watching it from a careful distance. This work is not easy. The parts you exiled were exiled for reasons. Retrieving them means confronting why you sent them away. It means feeling what you have been refusing to feel, sometimes for decades. It means grieving the years you spent as half a person while believing you were whole. But on the other side of that grief is something you have forgotten exists. Color, texture. The capacity to be so absorbed in something that time disappears and you forget to perform, and you are simply, fully, uncomplicatedly alive. The greyness is not your fate. It is a symptom. It is your psyche telling you that the way you have been living is too small for what you actually are. The parts that could bring you back to life are not dead. They are waiting. They have always been waiting. The only question is whether you are ready to let them back in.